Long before his name was ever known, Samson's destiny was whispered in the heavenly realms. Israel was suffering under the cruel hand of the Philistines. The people groaned beneath their rule. And yet in the town of Zorah, the Lord was already preparing a deliverer. A barren woman from the tribe of Dan received a visit from the angel of the Lord. He told her she would give birth to a son, but he must be set apart from birth. No razor was to touch his head, for he was to be a Nazirite, consecrated to God. This child would begin to rescue Israel from the Philistine. When the child was born, they named him Samson. As he grew, the Spirit of the Lord began to stir within him. His strength was unmatched. He tore apart a lion with his bare hands. He struck down 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone of a donkey. He lifted the gates of Gaza from their hinges and carried them to the top of a distant hill. His enemies feared him. His people marveled at him. But Samson's heart was wild, drawn often by desire rather than wisdom. Though chosen by God, he wandered near danger, his passions leading him closer and closer to the very enemies he was meant to destroy. It was in the valley of Sorek that he saw her Delilah. Her beauty was alluring, her presence mysterious. Samson fell for her, and it did not take long before the lords of the Philistines saw an opportunity. They came to her in secret and offered a fortune in silver if she could uncover the source of Samson's strength. Delilah, draped in perfume and veiled words, set her trap. She asked him plainly, "Tell me the secret of your great strength and how you can be tied up and subdued." Samson smiled and played along. "If anyone ties me with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I'll become as weak as any other man." She did just that while he slept, and then called out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He snapped the cords like thread in a flame. She pouted and pressed him again. A second time he misled her. "If I'm tied securely with new ropes that have never been used, I'll become weak."
Well, if you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe.
Again, she tied him. Again, he awoke and broke free. Her voice grew more pleading, more "You say you love me, but you won't share your heart with me." On the third attempt, he told her, "If you weave the 7 braids of my hair into the fabric on the loom and tighten it with a pin, I will become like other men." She tried once more, but again he rose, dragging loom and pin behind him. Delilah's persistence turned relentless. Day after day, her whispers became storms in his ears. Her beauty became a snare. Weary of her constant pleading, Samson finally gave in. He opened his heart and told her everything. "No razor has ever touched my head," he said, "because I have been set apart to God from birth. If my hair is shaved, my strength will leave me, and I will become weak like any other man." That night, as he lay with his head on her lap, Delilah called for a man to shave the 7 locks from his head. His strength ebbed away. His connection to the Lord was severed. Then she cried out again, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke, but this time the power was gone. They seized him, gouged out his eyes, and dragged him in chains to Gaza. They set him to grind grain in prison, a once mighty warrior now blind and broken. But in the silence of captivity, something began to grow, not just the hair upon his head, but a stirring in his soul. The Philistine lords gathered in their great temple of Dagon to celebrate his capture. They brought Samson in to amuse them, mocking the blind champion of Israel. They placed him between the great pillars of the temple, unaware that a prayer had risen from his heart. Samson reached out and felt the columns with his hands. He whispered to the heavens, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please strengthen me just once more, so that with one blow I may pay back the Philistines for my eyes." Then with all his might, he pushed. The pillars creaked. The stones groaned. The temple shook and collapsed, crushing the lords and all who were in it. Samson died there with his enemies, but in his final act, he struck a greater blow against the Philistines than he had during his life. His family came and carried his body away. They buried him in the tomb of his father Manoah, and the land fell silent once more. Samson's story echoed through generations. A man touched by divine power, brought low by his own weakness, yet redeemed in the end by one final cry of faith.